Brilliance Audio presents Into the Fire, an Orphan X novel by Gregg Hurwitz. Performed by Scott Brick. At the Fuller Street trailhead of Runyon Canyon, Max Merriweather stitched his hands together behind him and leaned forward to stretch out his lower back, where 33 years of wear and tear had taken roost. Hikers were out in force, gay couples and aggressively fit moms, dog walkers and the occasional celebrity in oversized sunglasses and a don't-notice-me slouch beanie. To the west, the sun coasted down behind a bank of clouds, fuchsia embers warming up into a sunset. The older he got, the more life seemed to present him with puzzles he didn't know how to solve, holding down steady work, stashing away money, and Violet. 2 years and 7 months later, and he still couldn't think of Violet without feeling it in his chest, a ping to the soft tissue. He knew he wore the weight of it in his face, in the knots of his shoulders, in the stiffness of his back. These days people looked at him like they didn't want him to rub off on them. He couldn't blame them. He didn't want to rub off on himself. Oh well. As his old man said, a whole lot of folks do better with worse. The breeze blew sage and chaparral, the dusty scent of the Santa Monica Mountains when you got away from the asphalt and car exhaust. Max started up the trail, nearing a homeless guy 5 layers deep in rags. The man seemed to grow out from the base of the fence, an organism composed of tattered cardboard, scraps of bedding, and dirt-caked flesh. Swollen legs protruded from a shabby blanket, the skin the same color as the fabric, the dirt. His feet were bare, the soles cracked like shattered plastic. A pit bull mix was curled up beside him, his snout scarred like the hull of an old ship. Probably a dogfight rescue. The man rattled some coins in a chewed Fatburger cup. Help a guy out. Max said, "We all got it rough, pal." The man nodded sagely. Ain't that the truth? Max jogged up the trail, weaving through the post-workday rush. Designer mini dogs trotted on bejeweled leashes. Rihanna blared from Beats headphones. A few guys moved together like a pride of lions, their hair cut in Mad Men parts, negotiating deals too loudly on their phones. A silver-haired husband and wife held hands and looked as content as anyone Max had ever seen, outside a TV commercial. He reached Inspiration Point and took in the downtown skyline miles to the southeast. The scrubby trail brush in the foreground framed the urban sprawl beyond, a snapshot of Los Angeles in all its rangy glory. Violet had always loved this view, and now this was the closest to her he could get. A mom nudged up beside him with an off-road stroller rugged enough to have been designed by the United States Army. Behind dark mesh a baby cooed, and Max turned quickly away. He ran back down even harder. As he passed through the gate, he heard the homeless guy rattle his few coins and call out to the pride of young men. The loudest of the bunch muted his phone against his chest. "Quit bugging everyone, dude, you're a joke." The homeless guy said, "Then help me not be a joke." The young man laughed, white teeth flashing, and pointed at him. "Nice try, bud, nice try." Max walked up the street to where he'd left his truck, a trailblazer with rust patches eating through the wheel wells. He had to climb in across the passenger seat because a tap-and-run months back had dented in the driver's door. He sat for a moment, hands on the steering wheel. He thought of the homeless guy back by the fence, those painful deep cracks running through the soles of his blackened feet. Help me not be a joke. He turned the truck on, but couldn't bring himself to tug the gear shift into drive. A whole lot of folks do better with worse. Defeated, he cut the engine and climbed out over the console. He headed back toward the trailhead. 3 minutes later, he returned. Barefoot. From the truck bed, he pulled out a dirty pair of socks and his work boots, worn from his by-the-day construction gig. When he crawled back behind the wheel, his phone chimed in the glove box. He popped open the antique clamshell he'd been using ever since he fell behind on the payments for his iPhone. A text from his father waited. "Your cousin Grant was killed last night. Figured you should know." Max lowered his face, took a few deep breaths, his hand clammy around the phone. Then he shoved the truck into gear, the transmission complaining, and headed into whatever the day held.